Welcome to Expectations in Mentorship with Dr. Julie Welch. Meet Dr. Chris Clark. He's a postdoc in Dr. Mary Mercer's lab. Currently, he is working on two scholarly projects. His first project is writing a preliminary draft of a research article, which he finished and sent last night at 10 o'clock in preparation for their meeting this morning. The second project is developing an educational module. He's written the content for the module, but is struggling to finish the assessment tool and implementation plan. Meet Dr. Mary Mercer, who's waiting for Dr. Clark to arrive for their mentoring meeting. He's late. Dr. Clark arrives 10 minutes late without a prepared agenda for today's meeting. He begins to ask Dr. Mercer if she's edited the research article that he sent last night at 10 o'clock so that he could revise it that evening. Dr. Mercer admits that she hasn't had a chance to read it yet and asks about his timeline for the project. While Dr. Clark is explaining his timeline, Dr. Mercer seems distracted, checking her cell phone and responding to texts while he is talking. When Dr. Mercer inquires about the progress of his educational module, it becomes clear that Dr. Clark has not followed up on several action items from their last meeting. He gets visibly frustrated and asks Dr. Mercer if she'll just write the assessment and plan for him because he's really pressed for time. Dr. Mercer recommends that Dr. Clark attend an upcoming educational development seminar on campus to help build his teaching skills. Dr. Clark responds that he would rather attend an upcoming national scientific conference and explains that he wants to meet the leaders in the field. He also would like Dr. Mercer to use her pool to get him on a national committee. Dr. Mercer expresses some reservations that he is not ready for this and needs to concentrate on building his academic skills. Dr. Clark remains silent and is afraid to tell Dr. Mercer that he hasn't decided if his career path is to stay in academics. What are the main themes of this case study? The main themes from this case study are setting clear expectations, communication, goal setting, time management, and commitment. When setting clear expectations, it's important to outline each person's role and responsibilities from the very beginning. This includes setting agreed-upon goals, deciding how you want to run the meetings, and establishing periodic feedback for accountability purposes. The next theme, communication, requires effort from both parties. Clear expectations should be set on how you'll communicate with each other. Also, the mentee should ask for help when needed. During meetings, both parties should be respectful and attentive to what the other is saying. This means not being distracted by electronic devices. Goal setting is an important theme to cover. Two problems that came up in this case study was a mentor who was projecting her personal goals onto her mentee, and a mentee who wanted his mentor to do his work for him. Another key theme in this case study was time management. The final theme in this case was commitment of both the mentor and the mentee. The mentor should be engaged and accessible to the mentee, especially during the meeting, which means eliminating distractions, unlike Dr. Mercer in this scenario. By staying active in the conversation, the mentor can then ask the right questions and give helpful guidance to the mentee. As for the mentee, he was generally disrespectful of his mentor's time by not asking for guidance in a timely manner, as well as by not preparing an agenda and timeline before the meeting. The mentee needs to be proactive in driving the meeting and the relationship. This translates into creating and sharing an agenda prior to the meeting. Give examples of realistic expectations of mentors and mentees. Here are some ways that you can prepare as a mentor. Evaluate your own mentoring skills. Review your mentee's CV, Individualized Development Plan, or IDP, and self-assessments. Review and understand your institution's promotion and tenure policies, as well as graduation criteria. As a mentor, you can cultivate the mentoring relationship by regularly meeting with your mentees. You should at least meet with them once a quarter, but you may want to meet monthly. Base the frequency of your meetings according to the mentee's needs. Advise the mentee that they should establish the meeting schedule and the timeline, and that they should lead the meetings with an agenda. Be available to your mentee for any urgent situations that may arise. Serve as a role model for faculty behavior and relationships with colleagues, admin, staff, patients, etc. Participate in mentoring, evaluation, and feedback. Next, you'll want to assist your mentee with career guidance and provide career development interventions. This can be done by aiding the mentee in setting goals through tools such as the IDP or the Opportunities Knocking handout. Encourage and assist your mentee in facilitation, completion, and submission of scholarly projects. Help him or her acquire skills. Review and critique your mentee's work. Provide advice about opportunities. Provide connections and collaborations. Sponsorship. Invite your mentee to networking events. Provide institutional knowledge. Help him or her navigate the where, shows, and whos. Advocate for your mentee. And respect work-life balance. How can you as a mentee create realistic expectations with your mentor? You begin by preparing for the mentoring relationship. Give your mentor plenty of lead time to review documents. Be punctual and master time management skills. Do a self-assessment to determine which skills you need to learn. Ask for guidance and advice. Next, you initiate and cultivate the mentoring relationship. Schedule regular, recurring meetings. Prepare a meeting agenda in advance with a timeline and run the meetings. Communicate in ways that your mentor prefers. Agree with your mentor on the structure and objectives of your mentoring relationship. Ask questions. Actively listen. Be responsible and flexible. Direct the flow of information. Ask for feedback and participate in evaluations. Be gracious and appreciative. The next step is to assist your mentor in giving you relevant advice and counsel. Set goals that are achievable, realistic, and time-specific. Identify knowledge and skill gaps. Clarify your values. List specific opportunities and guidance sought. Finally, follow through on assigned tasks and opportunities provided by your mentor. Participate in career development opportunities. Participate in networking and collaboration opportunities. Complete and report back on assigned tasks, such as action items, writing critiques, preparing a poster, writing manuscripts and abstracts. During this case study, there were some great examples of unrealistic expectations. First, the relatively new mentee expected the mentor to affirm competence even though the mentee has not yet demonstrated it. Next, the mentee expected the mentor to provide recommendations and entree to colleagues and organizations, which the mentee hasn't earned yet. Another example is that the mentee did not fulfill his responsibilities. He came to the meeting unprepared, with no agenda. He didn't complete agreed upon interim work. In general, he was wasteful of the mentor's time and expertise. Although not specifically addressed in this case, there are also times that a mentee outgrows his mentor, and the mentor is unwilling to acknowledge this reality. In this situation, the mentor should help the mentee find a more appropriate mentor. How do you establish expectations in a mentoring relationship? What are some tools that you can use? One method for establishing expectations is to write up a mentoring contract or agreement. This sets commitment, confidentiality, time limits, and accountability. Use the Individualized Development Plan or IDP to set appropriate goals. Another way to establish expectations is to evaluate where the mentee currently is and where he or she would like to go. A mentee can complete some self-assessments to identify needs, which then allows the mentor to match those needed skills with appropriate training and resources. Build in a mechanism for regular feedback to establish accountability in the mentoring relationship. Structure the meeting so that all of the important topics are covered. The best way to do this is to always have an agenda for your meetings. Finally, complete the Opportunity is Knocking worksheet. How might you build in accountability for the mentor or mentee who is not fulfilling established expectations? A mediator can be a great tool for overcoming this problem. Additionally, regular feedback provides a method for upholding accountability. How would you improve this mentoring meeting to make it more productive? To make your meeting more productive, you have a few tools at your disposal. Make sure to create an agenda and distribute it in advance of the meeting. Check out the How to Run a Meeting website. Follow up on action items from the last meeting. Finally, set up a timeline for completion and stick to it. Before each meeting, a mentee should create an agenda and pull together all necessary documents. Prior to the scheduled meeting, email the agenda and documents to the mentor. During the meeting, the mentee should direct the meeting and everyone should stay off of their electronic devices. The mentor can oversee the meeting structure to make sure that all important topics are covered. In a 60-minute meeting, the first 10 minutes should be used to check in on personal and professional updates, as well as to go over the agenda. The next 20 minutes should be given to address all time-sensitive issues, such as upcoming presentations, manuscript revisions, teaching dilemmas, etc. The final 30 minutes should be used to assist the mentee with ongoing projects like goal setting, suggesting resources, and agreeing upon the timeline. During this time, provide career guidance for current and long-term goals for the mentee's CV and IDP. At the end of your meeting, make sure to clarify expectations and schedule the next meeting. Following each meeting, the mentee should develop his or her own personal progress checklist. Make sure to keep a portfolio of your activities and works in progress. Make a timeline and follow it. Send a thank you note to your mentor. It's important to express your gratitude. And at least once a year, reevaluate your mentoring agreement to ensure that it covers all of the needs of your mentoring relationship. As we close, remember to ask yourself, what is the purpose of this mentoring relationship? An important aspect of the mentoring relationship is to have a sense of clarity of what your relationship is all about, as well as what expectations each of you are required to meet. Make sure to clearly outline each individual's role, responsibilities, goals, timelines, and methods for holding each other accountable. A mentorship relationship requires commitment from both the mentor and the mentee. As a mentee, it's your responsibility to drive this relationship. As a mentor, you must be engaged, generous, accessible, and available. With all of these key components in place, you're on your way to a great mentoring relationship.